Welcome to today's episode of the Business Growth Spotlight, where we shine the light and talk with business leaders from all over the world to share their insight and expertise so we can all grow together. I'm your host, Heidi Schalk, and really excited to chat with my guest today. And for those of you just joining our podcast, welcome. We are HLH Growth Solutions. We specialize in helping business scale their revenue through our custom and outside the box visibility strategies. So if you are looking to take your business to the next level, then stick around. We have a gift for you at the end. But it's time to jump in and talk with my guest today, who is Todd Smith with QoreAI. Welcome, Todd, to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me here today. Look forward to our conversation.
I do too. So Todd, can you start us off by telling us a little bit about you, your company, and your role within it?
Sure. A little about me. I've been in the auto industry for over 30 years. I know that it feels like a very long time to me now, but grew up around cars. I grew up in South Jersey. Both my neighbors were car dealers, so I was involved in the business very early. Grew my way from the retail side to the ultimately building technology for auto dealers, auto groups, and manufacturers. So I've kind of transcended both sides of the industry. It's been an amazing journey. And, I keep learning new things every single day. And for my business, QoreAI, was really birthed. I sold my previous company. And when you go through an exit like that, I call it get shelved, put on the shelf for a little while, or you can't really do as much as maybe you'd like to do. And I couldn't see myself doing anything outside of auto. So what I did was I went and sat in my friends' dealerships and watched and looked for what people were doing. And one thing that struck me was I watched people open up tons of different systems and just click, 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 click around. And I actually sat there after about a week with my notepad and I started writing and time how long people were clicking around. And the scary thing was it was 13% of their day was spent just clicking. And I've come to read studies outside. Harvard Business Review's done a study, and others that support the same conclusion I came to, that 13% of your time a day equals 33 days a month that we are not efficient or productively doing anything except clicking around. And it was super funny in the Harvard Business Review when they analyzed what we call knowledge workers and how much they click around between systems. They even documented it far beyond my educational level, but what they called ocular reorientation, meaning even as you click between tabs, our eyes have to send a message to the brain has to go, I think I know what I'm looking at. And that contextual span has to happen. It takes a couple seconds. So they had calculated it was 5 weeks per year we spend just clicking between systems. So in automotive, I said, wow, that's a problem we should help solve. So to do that, our first thing was let's organize all the dealership's data in one spot, making it much easier to understand the context and relationship to customers to the business.
Well, thank you for sharing that journey. And I have something in common with you. I worked in the car industry for a period of time. I was in the service space. So I was a service writer back in the day.
Awesome.
Yeah. Wow, those are long days.
The service advisor and that role has so dramatically changed over the last probably 20 years. It's crazy how much different that role has evolved to. So
and it's
great. Another fellow auto person. I love it.
And I love cars. Yeah. It's probably been over 20 years. Yeah, it's been about 20 years span that I've been in that space, and it's evolved a lot. So can you share with us who is Quora? Like, who is your ideal client? Is it mostly the car dealerships?
Car dealership groups are really our clients. They're the ones with lots of data, and they have a lot more at stake. When you own multiple stores, there's just a sea of data moving around organizationally. So for us, it's capturing all that data, and not just customer data. We also believe deeply in what we call like enterprise data. So how the business operates. We think because of AI, capturing all this data is going to be critical in the future to almost be the brain of the dealership or any business per se. that when you can encapsulate that, it also is very powerful because, we in auto, as you may have experienced, turnover is kind of high. It's about 66% a year. And because of that means a lot of tribal knowledge leaves the dealership every year. And then they try to put new people in and train them up, but nobody ever trains up to the previous person who sat usually in that role. So we're thinking that for the long term for QoreAI, one of our passions is really around harnessing and capturing all the knowledge organizationally, making it available using AI on LLM to make everyone what I would consider the almost, let's say, new hire is and can be as productive as someone who's sat in that seat for 3 or 5 or 20 years.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that would be awesome for those business owners and the management for sure. So, how is AI revolutioning the way that the businesses are making data-driven decisions?
Yeah, so, well, when you look at AI in general, AI to me at this point in the journey of AI, a lot of it is just predicting what happens next. That's what we see. That's what an LLM is really designed to do, right? It's predicting the next character, which is the next word, which is the sentence, which is the paragraph, which is your document. And when we look inside our industry in automotive, all this starts with clean, organized data. So you can't put bad data into these systems. They'll just give you bad outputs out. So for any business looking to really advantage AI, it all will start with data hygiene. So that's normalization, beyond deduping, appending data, maybe enhancing the data. All these processes have to happen. And then data needs to be what's called vectored as well as put on a graph to make AI easily access it, to be able to give you the insights you're looking to find out about your business. And for us, this is the critical piece to make AI work. So our work right now, a lot I consider is foundational, where we're dealing with a lot of bad data coming in because inside our industry, there's no kind of checks and balances for how data comes into a dealership. A customer could enter it in, maybe give you a bad email address, bad phone number. A salesperson could enter something, a service writer could enter something and fat finger it, put a .con instead of .com, just put NA at NA because customer didn't want to give up an email address. All that data winds through a system. And then if the AI is trying to chew it up and it doesn't know what good data and bad data is. So you have to build a layer first to then enable that intelligence layer to operate.
Okay, and so how does core AI help the dealerships, the businesses unlock the full potential of their data?
We're doing all that work, right? So we're doing that deep, deep data work, the hygiene. We have partnerships with Equifax and tons of other services. So we can bring in and triangulate data. So I know that, okay, Heidi, this is where you live today, but you had previous addresses. And maybe somewhere in the system, your previous address was noted. So we have to build the weights and measures to be able to go, nope, this is your actual address today, where we've seen it most recently or active. Same with phone numbers, email addresses, vehicle ownership, last service experience. All those things together are part of what we focus on right now. And our goal is just, again, bring the data into what I call like an identity that we can bring it to life. And then once we do that, then obviously you can leverage, you can just leverage the most basic, better marketing, more efficient marketing, because you're not sending mailers to people that don't exist. I mean, it's not uncommon. We've seen mailers go to people who are deceased. This is funny. I have a mailer right now that came to my house that this is not me. So BMW of Naples spent money sending a 4 by postcard full color to my house. This with postage, this at least is $1. It's a waste.
Yeah.
So we look at helping dealerships become more financially efficient with their marketing spend.
And now you have outreach. If you're already not working, well, obviously you're not working with them because that wouldn't have happened.
No, yeah. So then now I have someone to
Now
call.
you have a lead.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I
Thank
get
gosh
that.
I got the mail today.
And I'm in Florida, so I'm on the other
Yep.
coast of Florida. So yeah, and that's so funny that you mentioned that. And I'm sure I can send you a bunch of leads. I'm always getting that stuff in the mail. And those mailers, they look expensive. They're really nice. They're high gloss. They don't look like they're cheap. And to have it
They're
be a
not.
mistake is costly for sure. So let's talk about some other mistakes. You just mentioned one. What are some other common mistakes that companies are making when they're implementing AI powered data solutions?
Well, so look, any AI that's implemented today, it has to rest on data. You can't just send AI into the wild. It needs some sort of data to access. So any business out there really needs to consider what that data set that the AI is accessing to start.
Okay.
So if let's say you have a business and you wanted to hire or use an AI assistant to book appointments, great. To do that, you're going to need to hook it up to a data set that can pull up the customer's previous record, maybe ask some basic questions about, in my case, a vehicle, but it could be healthcare, it could be any type of business. So all these new AI applications are amazing, but they'll only be as effective as the data that they're accessing. Otherwise, they'll start making up things, right? We've all heard about ChatGPT or Claude hallucinating and giving back bad information because these systems are designed to give you a response. And if it can't find the data, it will make up the data. So what you have to do is kind of put your arms around that and say, okay, well, let's get it good at data that's accurate, that's useful to the end consumer. Because nothing is worse. And maybe you've had the experience where you call a phone tree and it doesn't help you. Or maybe you've interacted with a chatbot on a website and it was not helpful at all. Couldn't answer your questions, or it says just call us. Those are the types of experiences where I'm like, you shouldn't even be doing anything with AI unless it can truly facilitate what a consumer or a potential customer is trying to do.
Yeah, I have complained, or not complained, but I've shared on this podcast on different episodes about my torturous experiences when I call, like it's more of a phone company or an internet company, provider, and you're trying to get somebody on the phone because you have an issue that needs to be solved now. And they send you to 14, like, I don't know, 14's a lot. I'm exaggerating, maybe 4 or 5 different areas before you can even get close to talking with somebody. And then I'm just over it. But yeah, it is highly frustrated. So I completely agree with you. And I hope those companies are listening to you right now.
Well, look, in the end, like the large companies like, Cox Communication, right, or Charter for internet here in Florida, right? They have giant call centers. And honestly, it's very costly to move people through a physical process, right? Every time someone is on a phone call, then it limits other people being on the phone call. And on top of that, routing, if I pick up and start talking to you and I'm not the right person to solve that particular issue, I've now wasted your time as a customer and I've wasted the business's time. And it's very interesting that a lot of that efficiency needs to be plumbed out efficient to create a better process, because I'm a big believer in Jeff Bezos's Amazon's philosophy that customer first, build an amazing experience, you'll create customers forever. You build a crappy experience, customers will leave out the back door faster than you could even understand. So I think that should be the root of any type of implementation of technology, whether it's AI or whether it's data or whether it's just a CRM. To me, it has to be a 10x value delivery. And not only that, it has to ultimately improve your customer's experience with your own business.
Yeah. So how can AI driven insights give companies a competitive edge in today's fast moving markets?
Yeah, so AI is, as we talked about right in the beginning, where these LLMs are designed to predict what happens next. And if you give it enough data into the past, it can start to predict the future. So most businesses run completely into the past. So you get a report at the end of the month, you go, wow, I sold X. Then you try to review everything. How much did we spend in advertising? What was our CAC? Cost of customer acquisition? What's our ARPU? Like, you go through all your major metrics, but you're looking backwards. With AI today, the real future is predicting what happens next. So in automotive, I'll use that as my example. Car dealers sell cars, absolutely. But then they have this huge service side, a part you were involved with. And out of that, they have a finite number of customers. So to start to predict, well, this many customers next month should be coming in for service based on maintenance schedules, based on predicting when we saw them previously. And people all have a natural cadence. And AI is really good at understanding and surfacing that cadence of like, you don't come in at the perceived every 3 month period. You're more a 4 to 5 month person, or you're just a twice a year the person. By able to extrapolate all that and find normalcy in what looks random in the data, that's the magic of where AI is going to help us right now. It's going to help us predict our future sales, which will allow us to fine tune not only our marketing, but our organization and operational efficiency. How many employees do I need? What do I need to manage that type of future output? And I think that's the really exciting thing that we're beginning that journey right now.
And so can we talk a little bit about growth? You've built businesses, and when you've been growing this one, can you share like what have been some of the challenges you've seen over your years in your different businesses, and how did you overcome them?
Well, look, any entrepreneur, you are always faced with an enormous amount of challenges. And I think it's really interesting that every entrepreneur, yeah, you'll always have good things happen, but that's not where we spend our time, right? Entrepreneurs spend our time at the point of the most broken thing in our business, right? That's hard to do consistently, but that's what has to be done. Like you go to the point where your business is failing, and every business has fail points. And to me, that's all the energy and effort. So I think one of the things I always, when I talk to other entrepreneurs, and even in my own experience, like one, seek the problem out. Don't let it just fester. And to me, I'm always looking for, okay, what's the worst part of our operation today? I'm going to focus some attention on that and move it up, and then something shifts, and now something else is a problem. You're constantly going to move from problem to problem. That's what entrepreneurs do. I think that's one of the things that everyone just wants to put a metric board up and say, I'll run the business and I have people to do that. That's not how this works. So great entrepreneurs are going to roll up their sleeves. They're going to focus on the most challenging aspects of their business. So that I always say, for me, challenges have come in every sort, right? Different businesses, different challenges, being both an entrepreneur and an investor, trying to help others in their journeys. I can't point to any probably individual one. I can give more than happy to give a couple examples of things in the past that I've gone through. One where, I built a product really before I had the audience. So I kind of reversed the structure, which is really painful. It's like putting square pegs in round holes, right? And I found that it's better to find the problem first and really vet the problem. And that doesn't mean talk to one person. So I'm going through this with an entrepreneur right now. And I said, you need to call 100 companies and have 100 conversations. And out of that, you're going to find a commonality of that position and a problem that they all have to solve. And believe it or not, statistically, you probably only have to talk to about 12 people. I didn't tell them that. But after about 12, the patterns emerge. Right. So, and you get to understand the consistency. So I find deeply it is rooted in understanding what people are trying to do and then determine, are they willing to pay for that? There are many problems in our lives and in our businesses people aren't willing to pay to correct. It's not that big of a problem. And I always I used to make a joke of this, and it is a joke. It's a guy's walking along, a sales guy, and he's walking past this farmhouse, and on the porch is a farmer sitting there on his rocking chair, and next to him is a big old hound dog, and the hound dog is just howling away, and he's walking by, and he's like, hey, mister. Guy's like, hey, he's like, what's up with your dog? He's like, oh, he's sitting on a nail. He's like, well, why doesn't he get off of it? He's like, it doesn't hurt that bad. So, and what I mean, there's a lot of times we'll complain about things, but we're not going to take the action or put money to actually fix it. And in businesses, there's tons of these false signals. So you can go in and build things for the wrong reason. And I've built things for the wrong reason. So then I have a product that it's never going to have a home. And yeah, you can try to pivot it, But now you're basically trying to take your mud castle and shape it into another mud castle. So I think the best thing for any entrepreneur is always start by living in your customer's shoes and really determining if it's a problem worth fixing. And I don't think we do enough of that. I think we have ideas and we're like, "Well, I should build that into a product." And then our close constituents go, "You should go build that, Heidi." And you're like, "Yeah." And you get down a path without realizing that there's truly a market behind it.
That I love everything you just said. And I was just talking to somebody earlier today, and they were saying that, it's the question, the chicken before the egg. Do I build it? Do I make it? Do I create it? And then do I sell it? Or do I find out and then I don't have, especially in certain things like technology, then I don't have the product, right? And I heard from one entrepreneur who said he actually spent money on advertising to sell the product to make sure that people wanted it, and then issued refunds once he found out people wanted the product, because now we could go create the product. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. So yeah, that's such a good point that you make, because there's so many entrepreneurs out there that they have this idea. They're like, I'm going to go create it, whether it's a service or an actual physical product. And then all of a sudden they're hearing crickets and going, oh my God. And not only money, but also time. And you can't get that time back. So
Time's our most valuable asset as an entrepreneur, and I think you covet it as it is, and you should never just throw time at any of these things. I feel like, invest wisely, and be really smart. I think once you understand customers, you can do things very low fidelity. I can make Figma mock-ups. I could use Manus. I could use Lovable. I could use Cursor. I could scale something to visually show someone. And it's not plumbed out, doesn't need to work fully. But at that point, I can get real world feedback. I don't, it goes beyond a PowerPoint today. I think that's one of the things AI is enabling us to, using low no code type applications. We can mock things up to that are actually interactive, and to kind of see what customers would think about it before you'd ever spend $1 building it.
yeah. So now you've done the market research, like you were sharing, like go talk to the 100 people or
Yeah,
12. But if you say 100, probably going to reach out to not 100, but they'll
right,
definitely get their 12. Or if we say reach out to 12, they
right.
might call five. So
Yeah.
I totally get where you're going with that. The more that you talk to, absolutely, the more information you have, and the more you'll be successful in targeting. Is this an urgent need? Do they really want this? Is this priority or not? Um, you've done the market research. Now it's client acquisition time. And in order to keep the doors open, we need to be generating that revenue. So how do you get in front of your clients? How are you staying visible? And like, are you using specific marketing where you're getting in front of them, or has one worked over another one? Is there something you're doubling down on this year?
Yeah, so look, maybe I sit in a unique cat seat. So
Mm,
one, I've built multiple companies in the industry. I've been in the industry so long, so my relationships are far and wide.
yeah.
So I probably don't have a GTM that is replicatable at this point. I write a lot of content on LinkedIn. That's
Mm,
kind of my outlet for how I'm thinking and feedback to a subset of my market. I spend a lot of time on calls with dealers, dealer groups, trying to understand their challenges, problems, because I feel like even me today, I'm constantly curious.
yeah.
And I don't know what I don't know. And every auto group I talk to is different, and they have different priorities, different needs. Now, there may be a thread of similarity amongst them all, but deeply, they have different approaches to how they want to do things, and you have to talk in their language. So for me, I think it's listening far more than I talk. So a good thing to do is, like, you're recording with Fireflies, right? Or Otter or anything. I would record all your calls and ensure the person you're talking to is speaking more than you. By you want to speak 30% of the time. You want them speaking. If you are over that, you are telling, not learning at that point.
Mm.
And I think whether it's a sales pitch, whether it's a product introduction, any of these things, you have to bring people in. And the only way you do that is understand them better. And a lot of times, when you can understand people better than they understand themselves. Here's I'll give you like easy cheat sheet for this. You can record a call. You could use something like I use like Limitless. So I could be on a regular phone call, not even a Zoom, and I can hit this, it records it. I now have bidirectional recording of everything, just put it on speaker. I'll record it all. I will put it up into ChatGPT. I will say, just analyze this conversation for behaviorally. I want to understand the person's the words they're using, what's important to them. I have a little prompts that I continue to tweak. I will analyze that conversation. This will now frame what happens next. So now once I understand a customer, potential customer, and ICP's language and what's important to them, it's very easy to align with them.
I love
And
that.
people just don't take the time. And I think with these new technologies, one thing for me, I wanted to take where I am and 10x my own capabilities. Like that to me is how to using these technologies for my own was my first rule. Forget using it for my business, forget using it everywhere else. It is how do I make myself 10 times more efficient? How do I end 25 like way ahead of where I am today? And to me, it's using some of these tools. So I think that to me is always begins by deeply understanding your customer or potential customers.
So what is your big goal for Core?
Besides 10xing me, then the next thing for Core, I look, we're still, I call it the infancy phase of the company. Though we have a good set and a number of clients already, I think we're still deeply in the learning phase. And our AI to me is still like a baby, right? It's still we're figuring things out, we're testing, we're trying new things. I think for us, our big goals, we only have 2 this year. So I wanted to end this year with right at 250 paying clients. So they could be groups that represent 10, 20, 50 stores, whatever that is. So I have a marquee goal of that. And our second goal for me was being able to hit what I call data quality score of above 98%, meaning we've enhanced the data and we are moving it through a process where 98% of it is accurate at that moment, at that glimpse in time. So like think of data health. So for us, that is always a moving needle because people move, people pass away, people change cars. It's every point, like it's a data check-in and decay point. So like email addresses, just in generality, understand for any business, email decay rate is 2.5% a month. So if you have a list, you wait a year, 30% of those emails will be bad. Phone, also. Home address, a little bit less. It's like 10, 15%. It also depends. If you're in a high apartment area, the rate is higher. So if you're in suburban standard, a little bit different. But it's very interesting to us that data is fluid. It's not like finite. And I think our system, we continue to evolve that side. So that my goals are like, yep, revenue, 2, operational efficiency. And those are the 2 things that I lean into.
Is there, if we could give you a magic wand and it said, here, Todd, this is yours, and you can go poof on one issue that could be holding you back from achieving those goals, what would it be?
Oh, so magic wand time. That's a good one. I don't know. So look, as anything, you probably want to, like for me, it's accelerating the learning loops and learning feedback cycles for our AI system to learn and process things faster. We do that at a rate that's fast, but I would like it to go faster. As any entrepreneur, like you kind of want to move the product along in a faster rate, but we have limitations. So if I could poof those limitations away, that's what I focus on. So to make us more, even for where we're at today, even more competitively advantaged.
Awesome. Well, I hope you can make them go away.
Yeah, listen, if you're sending up the magic wand to me, please, like you can overnight it. FedEx needs help these days. Send it up. So
we'll definitely shoot it over to you.
yeah.
My last question for you, or maybe second to last. What is if we could revisit this conversation a year and come back and have you back on, what does success look like for you in Core?
Honestly, it's going to be the same two things,
Yeah.
right? Instead, it'll be 250, it'd probably be 500. We at least want 100% growth per year.
Yeah.
And it's going to be continuing to refine our platform. I mean, I see those probably as the next 10 years. Like it will be growth and it will be refining our models and data usage. And because that's the world we live in.
Right.
And I think for us, anything we can do to on the help our customers do what they're already trying to do. So BJ Fogg, Stanford leads the psychology like side of that for Stanford. Really sharp guy, met a few times, but he always said, help people do what they're already trying to do, and two, make it easy. So I think for us, as we're developing core, we're also very considerate of who's paying us. And are we adding, how much value are we adding to their lives? And the more value we can add to our dealer clients, our dealer partners' lives, then that makes a business successful because, forget us, the value has to be driven from them. And we need to just help them be better operators, be more efficient with their spending, be better marketers. We want to help them be better at everything they want to do. And we want to use data and AI to power that. And that's our core like mantra.
Perfect. So my last question for you would be for businesses, let's just give away like some advice for businesses that's starting their AI journey or they're just, they're newer to the space. What's one key step they should take to get started or get moving?
Use it personally.
Mm,
In the end, if you don't use it personally, it's going to be very hard for you to understand it. And I mean really use it personally and try different models because they do very different things. Like Perplexity, great for research and deep research. But I can take it out of Perplexity and I would go to Claude to do writing. And then I would use ChatGPT for a lot of analysis. So these systems all have pieces that they do better. So I think testing all of these models, Grok has some cool stuff. Gemini is interesting. Like all these models that are coming out all have pretty interesting capabilities, like R1, even DeepSeek. And now they just dropped a new version, which is even better. So I think learning these personally should be job one of any entrepreneur today. You will, as an entrepreneur, you're going to naturally see opportunities then.
mm.
It's I always think of there was a thing about Houdini many years ago, and there's a story about him that stuck in me. And Houdini was known to go to towns and he would say, "Hey, put me in your jail, I'll get out of it." Right? And he's like, "I've never been to a city where I can't get out of the jail." And this was part of his stick. They'd market it in the newspaper. He'd come into town. They'd put him in a straitjacket and, chain him all up. And within a couple minutes, he's out and walks out the front door and says, no jail can hold me. So one day he went to a town and the sheriff, an intellectual sheriff, let's call him, puts him in, says, no problem. They chain him all up, goes. Houdini gets out of his chains, gets out of his straitjacket, starts working on the lock. Cannot unlock this lock. Everything he's doing cannot unlock it, will not unlock. He is profusely sweating. Within 20 minutes, he literally collapsed in exhaustion. He's like, all right. The guy walks up. It was never locked. I think, and it's very interesting. So he used, I call that behavioral ninjutsu on Houdini because Houdini approached every door as if it was locked. And I think a lot from time to time as entrepreneurs, we have to challenge our own thinking. And to me, this is why use these new products, do very different things, learn to research differently, break your patterns, and try things that, maybe they make you feel a little uncomfortable because you have no skill set using it. But these are the tools that are going to shape our future. And a good example, my son is 15, high school, goes to a private academy, really thorough, doing research about the Holocaust, and he had to use their system for research. He needed to find first-party testimonial from a woman who survived and a child who was encamped. So I'm watching him. I spend 45 minutes doing all this research. And I'm like, huh, okay. And I'm like, we walk to dinner and I'm like, what, how was that research? He's like, oh man, I still don't have this and this. And I need things to cite. And I'm like, okay. I was like, man, that was a lot of time. He goes, oh my God, yeah. I was like, I spent all this time. So I was like, so what do you need to do? I was like, type it into Perplexity. It literally deep research. It was everything he needed in 18 seconds. Actually, it took a little longer because deep research has to go through a lot of processing. Gave him everything he needed to cite and go research. I think we're living in a world where information has no value anymore. But specific domain information is incredibly valuable.
Mm.
It's not that that data was there. It's, hey, taking the consideration to go get it and having the knowledge. That side is incredibly valuable. And I think as we think about shaping our businesses, this is going to be critical.
Yeah, that's a good point. Knowing exactly where to go and then utilizing the tools that are out there and available to you. I just heard about Perplexity is newer to me. Grok is newer to me, but I've heard amazing things. I just haven't had the time, or the chance to opportunity to get in there. But I'm getting in there because I've heard great things about it. And there are so many different platforms, and using one for one size fits all doesn't work. That's for sure. It's not going to give you the time efficiency and productivity that you're looking for. And that's a really good point. Todd, how can people reach out to you and connect with you?
Super easy. I'm all over LinkedIn. You can go there. Please DM me, comment on something I write. I write every day. That's kind of my thing. That's easy. You can go to our website. You can reach me there. You can email me, todd@QoreAI.com. I am pretty available. So I've tried to make myself easy to connect with.
Amazing. And we have all of Todd's information inside the show notes, so they'll be easy to grab for you. If you're watching Todd and I on YouTube and you're really getting a lot of value from this conversation, which I'm guessing you are because this was pretty amazing, please subscribe to the channel so you can be alerted for upcoming episodes. And if you're listening to us on your favorite platform, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, wherever for your podcast, please leave us a review if you're able to. A 5-star would be great so we can share Todd's value with more people. And if you know of anybody that would get a lot of great insight from Todd today, then please share this with them. Be super grateful. If there's anything, Todd, that you'd like to share before we wrap up that I didn't ask you or we didn't touch on.
I would just say, first, thank you so much for having me today. Appreciate it. Love sharing information. Any entrepreneurs that want help, please DM me. I help people all the time. I feel everyone needs to do their own journey, but everyone needs a guide. So I've been a guide to a lot of people, and I will continue to do that even through retirement, I am sure. So yeah. I just want to, again, thank you so much, Heidi, for having me, and I hope it was valuable.
It was super valuable. I'm truly grateful and appreciate your time. So thank you very much. Thank you for listening. If you are looking to grow your business and you feel like you're doing the things and you're not being seen by your ideal clients and you need to get in front of them more, feel free to go download our gift that I promised you at the beginning, our Spotlight to Scale Blueprint. You can go to spotlighttoscale.com/blueprint. It's free. Go grab it. And we will see you again. Reach out to Todd. DM him. He loves having conversation. Reach out to him, ask him questions, and connect with him. And we'll see you on the next episode of the Business Growth Spotlight.